Anybody ever listen to podcasts here and do the 1.52 speed? Yeah, we're going to be doing that today. I'm just letting you know with these slides. But look, my goal today is, actually question first. Who here coaches people in person? At least. Cool. Who does online? And who does a mix of both? All right, awesome. Perfect. The goal today is for you guys to become better coaches. And also, if you have people that are under you that you're developing, to help them become better coaches. Because again, this is what we do. This is the number one craft. So some of the stuff, let's see if this is working well. I think we might need some new batteries in this mofo. We good? Oh yeah. Oh, not ready? Yeah. Sheesh. Okay. I'll talk in the meantime while you guys do it. Come on. As they're getting this ready, I'm going to skip through. Actually, raise your hands real quick if you guys know me. All right, we're pretty good. That means the first 3 to 4 slides will be skipped and we can go straight to the juice. But at the end of the day, look, the reason why I'm talking about this and I love this topic is because it's the craft. And you see me on social media. I do social media. I do a lot of different things. But the craft of coaching is what's going to develop your career, right? For everybody that says, hey, I want to help more people. I want to make more money. I want to build my career. At the end of the day, coaching is the thing that helps you do that. That's the skill set. And I speak at a lot of events now, and I don't see much talk about this. And this is the main thing that we do, right? And I have I would say, a lovely video that I'm going to share with you guys from the movie 300, which is one of my favorite, that I think it encapsulates this. But I don't want to, there's places that I go to and talk about marketing, whether it's email marketing or, business 101, things that you do have to know. But I promise you this, even if you don't know a lot of the other stuff, if you're phenomenal at the craft of coaching, I guarantee you that you'll be fine, right? I guarantee you that you will do well. And so this is the most important thing. And I've been doing this. I've been coaching for 21 years. I've had a gym for 19. There's no day that goes by where I wake up and I go like, hey, I don't have to do any more coaching skill sets, right? I don't have to develop my skill anymore. It'd be crazy, right? You think about, and I used to play basketball, so I use a lot of basketball analogies. There we go, right? We'll skip these first ones. Like, imagine the NBA and you're not focused on just being a phenomenal basketball player. Scoring points, getting rebounds, assists, making your team better. Right? The people that get the contracts are the people who are the best at the sport. And we have to look at coaching the same way, right? So what did you do? What is your main skill? Again, one of my favorite. Let's see if this plays. Can you play this? Hopefully there's sound to this as well. Is it just an image? Oh man, you're going to kill me if I can't play this. All right, so anybody remember this scene from 300? Okay, I'll give you the quick breakdown, right? The Greeks go to King Leonidas and say like, oh, you only brought so many men, right? The 300. And Leonidas goes like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a carpenter, sir. He's like, what about you? And he's a blacksmith. And it's all these, different professions that they have. He says, Spartans, what do you do? And everybody's like, they're soldiers, they're warriors. I feel that today the industry somewhat becomes that. It's like, what do you do? I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of this, right? But it's like, are you a coach? Like, what's your profession? Right? I get fired up when I watch this because it's like, my profession at baseline is I'm a coach. Right? That's the most important thing. Last year, if you guys were here, I talked about this, right? The 6 buckets of building a successful fitness career. The top 2, the ones that nobody can take from you, knowledge and skills. Those buckets, by the way, like there's no filling them to the top. It's not like I got to a place where I can never get better. Again, 21 years in, I feel dumber than I ever have. I know I'm really, really good at this stuff, but I feel like there's so much more to learn. And I would encourage you, I hope that this presentation makes you go like, man, I can get better at this. I want to get better at this. I know that this is the foundation of me having a great career and it being very meaningful, right? So me and Annie McCloy, who's my partner in our mentorship business called Built to Last, we kind of talk about these P's, right, that build a great business. Product, process, position, people. Process is your systems, operations, right? Position is your marketing. How are you positioned? People is obviously your people, your teams, right? How you leverage that. But then product is your main thing. If you go to the restaurant, if it's a shitty meal, do you come back? Even if the service is good, by the way, which I think service is very important. But if you went to a restaurant and the food was like, oh man, I don't know, you're not coming back, right? So that your coaching is that, right? If people come and you're coaching, you're like, eh. But if those P's are great, you have performance and profit. So this is kind of like my little formula. The foundation is, right, like word of mouth and referrals. Like if you have a business that doesn't have a good chunk of word of mouth and referrals, that's a problem, right? So we got to improve coaching and we got to improve customer experience. Then having a powerful offer, like, hey, try us out without risk. From there, educational marketing and sales. Educational, right? And that gives you growth, I guarantee you. But guess what? At the bottom, there's always word of mouth and referrals, which comes from great coaching, great service. That's why I would say the presentation title was Unreasonable Coaching. Anybody here read the book Unreasonable Hospitality? Excellent. Everybody needs to get that book. I have a list my goal is to go fast enough so you guys get some of the books that I really, really recommend for everybody to get. Okay? So this is kind of like that whole fact. Like, hey, how do you become known? How do you get people to kind of know, like, and trust you so you can sign them up, right? It goes from people not knowing that you exist to kind of suspects that start following you to prospects that show interest and then people that kind of try you out and buy and become fans, right? Everything right here is dependent on how well you get people results and the experience that they get. Okay, so let me tell you two stories because, and again, I'm not going to point anybody out. I'm just going to tell you like my experience from people going like, well, Luka, I've been in industry for 12 years. And, just because you've done a thing doesn't mean that you do a thing exceptionally well. And I wanted to share two stories. One is from my friend Craig Weller that used to work for Precision Nutrition. And he told a story about him and surfing, right? So he loved to surf and he surfed for quite a lot of years and he got to like, okay. And he just couldn't get past that, right? Then he went to surf camp for a week. In a week, he got dramatically better. Why? He said that for a long time, for many years, he was actually practicing really bad habits. So he was getting better at being shitty, right? And what you would say is like, well, I've been surfing for 8-9 years. But in a week, he became dramatically better because the best people were showing him how to change things and do it better and practice it better, right? Second story. When I was probably about 15, 16 years old, I would always shoot after practice. I'd take 500 shots. And the coach came in and said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm shooting 500 shots to improve my shot. So how many are you making? I was like, I don't know. I'm just shooting 500 shots. He said, start tracking your makes. Like make sure you make at least 80% of your shots before you make the shot harder. So go closer to the basket. Because right now you might be practicing to miss 50% of your shots or 60. So you're practicing to not be good or you're practicing to be mediocre. So, coming back to coaching, it's very easy to get complacent. I've been doing it for a long time. So you get that law of the slight edge where, slowly but surely, you don't come as energized to training session. You're not as prepared to the training session, right? You get a little later, little by little. It's kind of like how people put on weight, right? Very slowly. Same thing here. Years later, you're not a better coach because you've been in the industry longer. You're actually worse. So I want to help you guys to like kind of see this a little bit differently, right? There's an action effect feedback loop. And like, what are you guys as feedback loops to become a better coach? What do we do for clients? Does it help you if you coach a client on Monday and then 3 weeks later you coach them again? It's a lot of weeks without getting any feedback, right? But if you see them often and their squat is weird and wacky and I can coach them up on it, I give them faster feedback loops. They do it better again. I reinforce that. Boom, when we get better progress. So that's why it's so important. Like, again, you guys are going to spend a lot of money on Amazon through this presentation. I'm sorry about that. But the talent quote from Daniel Coyle talks about, Florence and the Renaissance. And in the Renaissance, there was these incredible people that came from there, right? Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Dante Alighieri, the list goes on in a very short period of time. But what happened during that time is that basically there was an apprenticeship model. Like you would work for somebody for 10 years. The master, you would be a student under the master for 10 years. And then it's like, okay, cool, now you can go. Right? And those people would go out in the world and do amazing things. Right? And it talks about that. And like, I believe that there should be still to this day, I don't care how long you've been in it, to be an apprentice. Like even if you are phenomenal at what you do, you still have to be an apprentice in some ways to get better. So think about that and how you can, kind of apply that. Because I say this to my team. This is kind of like a 6-year-old would kind of understand it, right? I do it. So I have to first be an example. So if you have, raise your hand here if you work with a team or you have a team that you're trying to teach to be better. Cool. We got about a third-ish, quarter to third-ish. Okay. So think about this. You have to be an example. How am I going to tell somebody to do something, be prepared, be on time, clean up the gym after you, coach a specific way, say everybody's name 5 times in a group training session, do general specific individual coaching, which is the whole kind of framework. I have to do it, right? So I do it, then I do it, and you are with me, right? You're going to shadow me, and you're going to see how I do it, always with me. Then you're going to do it, and I'm going to shadow you, right? I'm going to assist you, and then you're going to do it. And eventually, guess what? That person is going to have somebody do it with them. See what I mean? If you have a manager, if you have an operations person, you have a fitness director, whatever it may be. So this is very important. And it's kind of like this cook and a chef analogy. My buddy Andy calls it like, borrow, build. But this is very important. To this day, there are still formats where I will first be a cook, right? The cook, like for example, I can tell you right now, I'm not a great cook. Or should I say, I'm not a great chef. I can follow instruction very well. The only thing I make like phenomenally well is fucking eggs. Like I'm a master at making scrambles. Just letting you know that. But this idea, when I tell my coaches, is like, first, take a model that you know works extremely well. And by the way, this could be anything, right? Let's say somebody is a great email copywriter. Read their emails. Literally copy their format and do it in your own words. Right? Same thing with training. What is a training framework that you can do? If you're a new coach in the first couple of years, you don't know what you don't know. Who are people that have done it before you? Excellent. Great. Study that cookbook, right? And then get a lot of reps, get a lot of experience. And as you do that, you develop, you understand it, you master the rules, and then you become a chef, right? It's kind of like, hey, I'm making a meal. The meal's great. But somebody new doesn't understand flavors and what salt does and what heat does and whatever, and you start playing with it, it usually tastes like crap. I know. I tried it, okay? But it's the same thing with training. Well, I'm trying to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you don't understand it. So you have to first be like a cook, okay? Very, very important. And by the way, I guarantee you could be a phenomenal coach in this industry without ever becoming a chef. I know people that have just followed cookbooks that make incredible amounts of money, and by the way, and impact a lot of people, right? So don't just look at that and go like, I want to be a chef. What if you're the best cook in the world, right? You'll do just fine. And by the way, like I give this example because for the last 21 years, I have flown around the world. I've gone everywhere to learn under the best of the best. We now bring anywhere from like 9 to 12 seminar certifications per year to Vigor at the gym. We've had 150 in the last 14 years, right? And I've been at like 300 events. My reasoning for that is because I guarantee you that if you come and watch me coach or watch a great person, training somebody in person, you'll get way more out of it than if you go and do an online course. Again, and I'm not against online courses, right? But again, feedback loops. I'm doing the work. The master's correcting me, showing me how to do it better. I do it again, right? I get that correction. So it's important. Like, are you still doing that, right? So the point that I want you to zoom out and have like a reflection on where you are right now. And if you're stuck or if you're not kind of moving at the pace that you want to, hey, when's the last time that you went and you were an apprentice? Right? When was the last time that you were around people that you think are the best in the industry and like really observed, right? And like put yourself into that environment and learn and you were coached, right? It's a very important thing. The second part that I believe in this industry that is critical, I really don't think that people can be extremely successful without this, is being a 51er. Anybody heard that term before? No? I know you have, Andrew, but so another great book by Danny Meyer, it's called Setting the Table. It's one of my top 3, I would say, business books, period. Okay? It's this book right here. But let me go back first. So to explain what 51ers are, okay? If you have 100 points and you are the absolute best at all the technical aspects of that skill, meaning in our industry, program design, anatomy, kinesiology, movement mechanics, vectors of force production, blah, 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 even things like coaching cues and so on and so forth. You get 49 out of 100 points. The other 51 points are this, okay? What he calls the 5 emotional skills. Optimistic warmth, which means things like genuine kindness, thoughtfulness, and a sense that a glass is always half full. First of all, you guys have been in industry, okay? Is it easier to be around people that have good energy, right? You come in and you're coaching like, hey, Mary, how you doing? It's great to see you. Even if they're down, like you have a good energy around you and you have this feeling of like, hey, things are going to be okay, right? I'm here, I'm upbeat. Versus person comes in, their cat died, and they're just like, oh. And then now the client's like, hey, what's going on, Kenny? Just life, Jen. It's just fucking tough. It's like, listen, this person's coming to us, right, to have the best part of their day, and you're a downer. You're not going to be successful. I'm telling you that right now, right? So this is an emotional skill that is really, really important. Number 2, intelligence, but not smarts, but insatiable curiosity, right? That for the sake of learning, meaning you want to just get better at the thing. I know for a fact that like, if clients are around you and they see that you want to be better, they're pulled into that. 100%. They're like, man, my coach is always trying to get better. But in general, if you have this insatiable curiosity, guess what? You are going to get better because you are always going to learn, right? Remember, seek and you shall find, right? But you have to be seeking. What are you seeking? Number 3 is work ethic. A natural tendency to do something as well as it can possibly be done. I know I hire through this now, right? And I didn't always do that, but it's like, I'm looking at these emotional skills and if people have them. Cause it's very, like 49 points, I can teach you all day long. 51, very difficult to teach. Okay. You don't have enough time to teach that, right? But who's a hard worker? I mean, at the end of the day, seriously, like any industry you want to be successful, you got to be a hard worker. Number 4 is empathy. An awareness of, care for, connection, how others feel, and how your actions make them feel. So if you've ever, management of oneself is knowing how you are affecting others. In coaching, that's very, very important. So empathy is a lot of different things, like noticing that a person's not, feeling great, asking them how they feel, talking for an extra 5 minutes at the beginning of the session, maybe even 10, maybe making half of the session a conversation, and you've done more for them than you ever could with some extra exercises. Okay? But then also understanding that, like, if you're, overly positive, anybody know that person? They only have one dial. Let's fucking go. It's a really hard day for somebody, and they're just like, everything's going to be great, right? And you become annoying, right? And so empathy is also understanding how you are rubbing off on clients, okay? Skill set. And number 5, self-awareness and integrity. Understanding what makes you tick, a natural inclination to be accountable for doing the right thing with honesty and superb judgment. If you have those skill sets, I can teach you to 49 all day long, and you're going to be a phenomenal coach and have a great career. If you are very low on it, because again, nobody's a 10 out of 10, right? It's not like everybody has all of this cranked all the way up. But if you're strong in those, I can teach you to 49 all day long, but I can't teach you this stuff. So, can you develop these? Yes, you can. I would highly encourage for everybody here to develop this and watch what happens to your career, right? Because it's like if your client does 5 reps or 8 reps for a whole year, is it going to really make a difference in their life? Let's be real. For most general pop people, and I'm a geek with training, it won't make a difference. But if they keep showing up, they have a great experience, right? You take care of them, you coach them, you help them actually implement stuff into their lifestyle that's going to change their life, man, it's going to turn their life around, right? So very, very important part. And be a learn-it-all. Don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all, okay? And teach others to be the same. Now I'm going to skip through that one because, again, that one's not important. But this leads to this, right? What's the most important question when somebody comes and does training with you? Again, maybe you have a gym, maybe you do group training program 101, it doesn't matter. The question is, the magic question, how was it? Right? How was it? Hey, you went to that gym, you went to, that group training program, how was it? How they respond is basically going to be the difference between whether you get more clients or not, or if you're going to be like, mediocre. Because if they say like, oh, it's okay, nobody's going to go to that. Like you went to a restaurant, yeah, it was all right. It's cool. Or is it going to be like, holy shit, like I went to this thing, my friend told me it's good, came to the training session, person knew me by name, I don't even know how because that's not how I talk to. They're really kind and nice and they showed me warm-up drills before we even started, told me exactly what's going to happen. Then they gave a motivational speech before we even started. And I was like, holy shit, this is Tony Robbins. What's going on? Right? I went through the best training session ever, kept me safe. But then we brought it into a huddle. I met 3 friends. This guy told a story. I was crying. What the hell is going on? It was amazing, right? That person that they're telling that to, are they going to try it? They're going to be like, holy shit, can I come with you next time? Right? The thing is, that's the magic question. And you have to ask yourself, how do I do that? How do I make them respond to that? Right? I'm going to fly through this a little bit faster, but I do want to say something because it does matter, right? Today, it really does matter. Great book by Joey Coleman, Never Lose a Customer Again. But he talks about customer experience. And the customer experience does not begin when a person comes to your gym and starts doing stuff with you, okay? The customer experience begins assess phase. Like they're looking at your website, they're looking at your social, they're looking, right? That's where it begins. Nobody calls, 10 different facilities anymore and goes like, hi, it's Mary. Can you tell me a little bit more about your training? Okay, cool. And he calls the next one. No, they just go under your nose and they start shopping you, right? So how your site looks like, above the fold, what it says. Are you writing blogs? Is it crickets? Is your social media crickets, right? This does matter, by the way, right? Because I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I do want to share this because assess and admit phase, check out your website, review your marketing. They go to Google reviews, stuff like that, right? Social media. And by the way, this can take seconds or months, okay? So again, I spend a lot of time crafting the website. Tagline. By the way, I could spend a week on this stuff, but, right? Are you thinking through? Because you got about 5 to 7 seconds when somebody hits your site to go like, oh, okay, they're speaking to me. Okay? Also, like what do people see? Like, we do a lot of educational content in our area. Like, how do you become 3 to 5 mile famous? I think that it's more important, by the way, if you're an in-person coach or a gym owner, social media will not fill your gym. Okay? It can be, by the way, it can be a good factor for educating your marketplace, but that's not going to fill your gym. And I'm a media guy. I do YouTube. I got podcasts, social, all that stuff. But I can tell you right now, none of those things like blew my gym up. Okay? But you do have to position yourself. Like how do you position yourself to be the expert in your area? Okay? So again, these things do matter because people will assess you. But I would say like, hey, why not be a great, like show them. This is Frank Kern, who's was an incredible marketer a long time ago, said, hey, Luka, I got a little kind of secret for you, right? When you do marketing, he said, show people that you can help them by actually helping them. Crazy, right? So the content that I started creating, whether it was emails, whether it was articles, whether it was videos, everything was like, how can I be useful? What are the problems I'm already solving for my clients? I'm just going to create content like that, right? And in that locally, I was doing seminars, workshops. I was just helping, which has been a theme. I've heard it from a lot of speakers, which I love, right? And then people are like, oh, well, that guy already helped me with his videos and his articles and everything else. I'm now going to go in and reach out to them. Okay? So that's important. So having an onboarding, like this is, by the way, you can snapshot this. It's simple, but do you have an onboarding process for your people, right? Even point of sale, what happens? Who does it, right? Pre-start, day one, delivery method. Is it email? Is it call? Is it text? Is it, right? You can, by the way, if you DM me, I'll send you this link to this and you can just copy it and do it for yourself. But have a process, right? Because again, customer experience, unreasonable coaching is what happens before, then it's what happens when they get there. It's the whole process. Here's the deal. Take a snapshot of this because I do want to get to other parts that I feel are very, very important. But again, think about like what happens. Reminder, text, a text message before they sit down for the strategy. Once they sign up, the next day we send them a handwritten thank you note with a FitBar gift card in it. Right? They get a call when their program is ready. So think about all those different things that you go through. Okay? because I wanted to spend a good chunk of time here. And first of all, like if I zoom out and I look, what are 6 keys to a great training session? Number 1, be a pro. Take pride in your work because there's so many people that don't. Okay? And think about that. How prepared are you for a training session? And once you've been in it for a while, I promise you, it's very easy for it to be like, I just show up and I do my thing because I've done it for a long time. But you wouldn't want, if you hired somebody as a coach, you wouldn't want that. You want them to be prepared. You want them to be on point. So in nutrition coaching, I talk about plan, prepare, cook. It's like the number 1 habit I want our clients to do, right? It's to plan their meals. If they're not, prepared, it's going to be a tough time. Well, are you planning, preparing, and cooking, but for your coaching? Are you? Right? If you say that to your clients, like, hey, make sure you're prepared for the week so you're successful. Are you prepared for the week so you're successful with your clients? Very, very important, right? Coaching, but not too much. Actually, I think that's very important. At the beginning of my career, because I was like, oh, I'm learning all these things, I would overcoach. You're giving them 10 different cues, you're saying all these different things, and they're just like, the fuck, right? Always connect. The reality is like we're in a people business. We're in a life transforming business, whether you like it or not. You have to be good at communication. You have to be good at connecting with people. Knowing when to use internal or external cues. Right? Mostly external, to be honest with you, for most of the clients. And to keep it moving. Don't let it become a therapy session, right? Like, you guys know how this looks like. When people want to start chatting you up and it's like, hey, we're supposed to have a 2-minute break, but it's been a 9-minute break because I'm listening to you about, fill in the blank. Right? So those are kind of like those big keys, but this is part of the, I would say, my preparation process that still to this day, I coach probably, it's NFL off season, so probably, 25 hours a week. Otherwise, I'm about 20 hours a week still, because I absolutely love coaching. And I used to do this, and I still do this to this day. It's like 4x6 cards. Right? Every day, the night before, I would write 4x6 cards to be prepped for the next day. Maybe it's a story I'm going to tell in a group training session. If somebody's got an injury, tweaks. If somebody's, let's say a client's son scored their first goal, I'm going to take a note of that. Right? And I'd come prepped, and it would be like my second brain. And I would always be like, hey, Mike, saw that Timmy scored a goal. Incredible, man. And they'd be like, what the hell? Like, right? Because nobody in their life remembers these little things, but I would. But I'd remember them because, again, I would be prepared. Who's coming to class? Right? Look, if you're using different softwares, who's in class? Is there a new person? What's their name? What's their face? Imagine they're coming in, but they didn't meet you. Obviously, like we have 5 coaches, we have 8 people on the team now, but they didn't sign up with me because we have a salesperson. But when they come in, I'm like, hey, Mary, how you doing? Yep, Pat told me about your need. Don't worry, we got modifications. Also, I heard that you go to this school. By the way, Mary's also from here. Let me introduce you. They're just like, what the hell's going on? Like, right? But all I did was prepare a little bit so that I know, like, where they're coming from, like, what their goals are, if there's a little thing that I need to know about them. Do you know how far that goes for a new client? How much safer they feel? How much more appreciated they feel? And all it would take you is like 10 minutes the night before, right? So that's massively important. Now, because I did this presentation at my summit, I probably spent 30 minutes on this slide. I will not do that today, right? But I will share a couple of these. I want you guys to take a snapshot. It's pretty cool because I've done this specific part of the talk for a couple of organizations, including Minnesota Twins, and they actually give this now to their whole coaching staff. They laminated it, they have it in their pockets, and this is what they use. But these are just things like some of the things that I'm like big on. And by the way, I'm continuing to try to get better at this. And I truly do believe I'm very good at this stuff, but I'm not like perfect. So you can always improve. Okay? Demonstrates clearly and often. Right? Again, if you've been doing this for a long time, I've been coaching 21 years. If you see me coach, like I'm always demoing stuff. Right? And we had a new coach that came in and said, hey, Luka, like, the clients are like, they're doing things so well. Like, I feel like I don't need to coach them. And I was like, The reason why they do them so well is because we always coach them. Because we're always demonstrating clearly. And I was like, hey, look, this lady, Bonnie, she's been with us for 16 years. She's been a client of mine for 16 years. And I was demonstrating a goblet squat. Now listen, I could tell Bonnie to do a goblet squat and she could coach somebody else probably better than most coaches. But I'm still demoing it. Why? Reinforcement, right? Always a little bit better. That's our motto. So I'm going to make her do that. Minimizing blind spots. If I go to a gym now and it's like, especially if you're doing semi-private training or group coaching, not being able to see your people. Like, again, that's a skill set. Like you have to know somebody's doing a trap bar deadlift. Somebody's about to do a technical exercise. I'm going to make sure they're not doing it. I'm going to only coach one technical exercise at a time. It's like an art. It's a skill and art, right? But like every single one of these, right, is a skill set that you can practice every day and get better at. In charge of the room with presence. Again, have a coach, great coach, but presence and tonality are not there. So that's what we're working on. Bringing the volume up, right? If you're teaching one-on-one, or should I say coaching one-on-one or doing a group class, very different. Hey guys, let's go, right? I'm going to bring my tone up. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to control the room. I have to get good at that. That's why I think doing Toastmasters or doing any type of speaking, is very, very good as a coach. Not even if you're going to be on stage, but just getting better at communication and controlling the room. Right? So again, all of these different skill sets, I want you guys to look at that. And by the way, you don't have to do this now, but when you go home and say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good am I at this stuff? 3, 5, 7, 8, where are you at? I promise you, if you work for 2025, you work on this, and at the end of the year, you've really got better at it. And then tell me how many clients you got, what your results are, what your attention is, how many referrals you get. And you're going to look back and be like, holy shit, I am much more successful and effective. Guaranteed. Okay? So it's not just what you do, but it's how you do it. It's very important. Because the reason I flew through that a little bit faster, and I want you guys to snap it and look at it honestly and just grade yourself. Because I do it, and sometimes I'm like, man, I need to get better at this. And then I'll find who's the best person at that, and I'll either hire them, I'll get their course, I'll go to their seminar, or usually what we do is I just call them and, hey, I'm going to bring you in for in-staff and pay you for the certification, right? And have the whole team do it, which I think is the best way to do it, because I want to get better at it, okay? But you have to remember this, because I was that guy at the beginning, training geek, thinking and studying all the training stuff. But you got to remember, program is a piece of paper on a file computer. Programs cannot create accountability. They can't motivate people. You do that, right? Piece of paper can't figure out what's inside a person, what their potential is. Great coach does all those things. And this is, this conversation around AI and stuff, which, hey, I got a Luka bot that writes programs. But this is the thing. What I'm talking about today, there's no fucking robot doing that. You understand? This is the skill set. 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If you're great at this, that value of a coach will only go up. That stock is only going up. So that's why I want you to really buy into this, because I think this is where the juice is. Okay? 3 more different things. These are going to be very applicable to whatever you do. Anybody here or heard of self-determination theory? Right? It's basically the theory of how humans are intrinsically motivated. Okay? And it's 3 different things. Competence, relatedness, autonomy. But I want to give you examples. Okay? Examples in training and how we do that. So how do we make our clients more internally motivated? So autonomy refers to feeling one has a choice and is willingly endorsing one's behavior. That's kind of the geeky term. But it means if people feel like they have choice, they're going to be more motivated, more likely to do the thing. Okay? So the client is in charge. The client feels like they have enough choice. So let's take a nutrition coaching example, right? If I break down somebody's nutrition and we see what they're doing, I say, hey, listen, Mary, what do you think is the thing that you could do to improve your nutrition? They probably got more answers than I do, right? And they're going to go well, this thing. Okay, what else? I'm going to write it down. Well, I definitely think I could, probably drink a little bit less wine every night. Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. What's something else? And they'll give you 3 things. All right, which one of those client has enough choice? So they're in charge, have enough choice. Which one of those do you want to attack first? You want to eat the frog? You want to do low-hanging fruit? You want to do the hardest one? You want to do the easiest one? What do you want to do? You know what? Let's go with this one. I don't need enough protein. Let's try to eat more protein. Okay, awesome. Sounds good. Now let's figure out what is enough. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what you feel the most comfortable doing, right? What did I do? She was in charge the whole time, and she had choices. And she picked it. And we know from, research shows us, when a person makes the choice, they're more likely to do the thing. Okay? You know how many times in training I'll say stuff like, what else is autonomy? Hey, what weight do you want to start with today on a 5 rep? Instead of me telling you what to do. How do you feel? What do you want to start with today? Man, I'm feeling cranky today. Let's start with a little less. Sounds good. They didn't even know it, but I used autonomy so that they will be more internally motivated, right? Let them collaborate in the process. Hey, do you want to do this Bulgarian split squat finisher or do you want to do this walking lunge finisher? They both fucking suck, right? You pick it. But the point being is I am giving them choice again. In groups, I'm always like, hey guys, what do you want to do? You want to do a leg finisher? You want to do ab finisher? Ab finisher. Great. Okay, we'll do ab finisher. Right? Even with the group, I can do this. They don't know what you're doing, but I'm actually helping them become more compliant with the stuff. Okay? Competence. The experience of mastering and being effective in one activity. Feeling of progression. If you feel you're getting better, you're motivated. I don't have to give you a carrot. Period. Especially if you're tracking it. So, creating quick wins. I try to create quick wins in the first session I have with a person. Sometimes that might be like, I'm going to shoot a video of them doing a thing, coach them up, shoot a video of them doing a thing again, and be like, hey, look at your first rep. Look at your second rep. See that? Wow, yeah. Boom, quick win. Or their shoulders, like, man, I'm super restricted. Okay, we're going to roll the lats, we're going to do some breathing drills, we're going to do some mobility work, and then afterwards, like, wow, that feels way better. Quick win. Right? Because think about it. Somebody that wants to lose 20 pounds, I can't show them that in a day, right? But I can show them better form, lift a little bit more weight, less pain. Let's do that, right? Celebrate milestones. They hit their first push-up. We got like a PR bell in the gym. Like, go ring the PR bell. Like, and people that don't know what that is, they're like, what the fuck do you mean? PR bell right there. They go and ring it. Everybody's like, ah, right? And they're like, oh, this is amazing. Right? Tony Robbins talks about this, emotional anchoring. Like when they come to your gym, now they're anchored. Like, man, when I go to Vigor, like people like lift me up. They cheer for me. Like I get better there. Then they want to come back. That's the attachment that they have. Right? And obviously providing options for every skill level. Being great at regressions is a underappreciated skill set. How many times, like listen, I go all around the country. I get brought in. I watch classes. I consult on this stuff. How many times I see people getting frustrated because they can't do a thing and there's no regression or coaching for it. And the worst thing about it is that they feel that they suck, right? They don't go like, oh, the coach is an idiot because they didn't do a regression. They go like, oh, I knew it. Look, I'm not good at this stuff. I suck. And that's on us. You have to make it available to them to where they are winning, right? Hey guys, if you don't feel like you can do that, I'm just going to have you be in a split squat position, hold on to a desk, and you're just going to be holding this for 30 seconds. Great job, Mary. Awesome work. Right? That is part of internal motivation theory. Number 3, possibly one of the most important, relatedness. The need to feel connected and have belonging to a group. Need to interact, connect, and experience caring for others. And I think, when people say things like, what do you like about that gym? Unfortunately to this day, people still don't say like, man, those people at Vigor are so smart. I'm telling you, when they wrote that program, the volume was just right, push, pull, hinge. Like, nobody said that shit. They're like, man, like I feel safe, I get results, or like I love the community, right? I love the culture. That's what that is. So it's things like creating a system, introducing clients to other clients and clients to other coaches right off the bat, right? Somebody walks in and is like, hey, let me introduce you to this person. And then giving, I would say, a client that's been there for a while, some responsibility, be like, hey, Ken's going to be taking you around and showing you some stuff, right? And now they connect. That's what people need. That's internally motivating. Put new clients together with new clients. Having them do challenges. That's why we do finishers at the end, right? Create opportunities for community connection. At the end of a training session, buy everybody coffee. Let them sit down together and connect. But the thing is, there can be systems for that, guys. You can do that. Like this is, again, how do we take science and then implement it into actual training? And that's my goal for that. So those 3. Coaching is communication, problem solving, and technical skills. When I was on a podcast with Brett Bartholomew, we talked about this. This is an actual kind of breakdown of what coaching is. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, first of all, problem solving means you got to get a lot of reps. You can't get good at coaching without coaching. There's just no way around it. And then how much time are you spending on communication? Because I think a lot of people are pretty damn good here. If I look at the averages, right? The technical skills. but the other two, not so much. So when we take all of this, I want to just show you an example of, Lynn, how do you develop a team? How do you get somebody else better? Okay? So if anybody's heard Mike Robertson R7 system, that's kind of the framework that we use for program design a lot, right? Release, reset, readiness. And then this is a program design template. Okay? Now, here's what what I do with an intern, what I do with my team person that I want to get very, very good at coaching. Okay? I explain all this, they get the template, but then they're going to watch a video of me breaking all that stuff down. And there's a lesson here for like why everybody here, whether you want to create courses or not, should create resources for your coaches to be able to go through. I send them a video. I'm like, hey, listen, here's a video, and I'm writing a program based off this template for a beginner that wants fat loss. And then there's another one for somebody that's intermediate that wants muscle building. And then here's another one where somebody who just wants general fitness and feeling better. Watch the video. And then you're going to watch me do it a lot. You're going to shadow a lot, right? And then you're going to ask me questions and you're going to take a lot of notes. Then, again, these are examples of, semi-privates, group training. And then I'm going to watch you do it. And I'm going to assess you. And again, there's going to be a feedback loop. So think about that, because it's like, how are you helping other people do that? And hopefully, oh man, I put this little thingy in here with Mr. Beast. Everybody knows who Mr. Beast is, right? Okay. So he does this thing, and I want you to take this idea, and basically what I'm saying is, he calls it cloning. So he'll have somebody come and live with him at his house for 6 months and follow him around as he does one specific thing that he wants to not do anymore and have somebody else do. Okay? I'm not saying like you have the intern move in with you, but this idea of like, watch me do that. I'm going to teach you how to do this thing like me. Right? I'm going to drill it in. So to me, like some of the videos and all the resources are just kind of like front loading it. I want you to watch all this stuff. And then we're going to meet up. You're going to ask me questions. Then you're going to watch me do it a lot. Then I'm going to watch you do it. I'm going to keep repeating that until when I watch you do it, I'm like, fuck yes. I feel good about you doing this thing now. Okay? By the way, this could be a coaching, anything in your business. I love this cloning idea, right? Have somebody follow you, do it exactly like you, learn from you, and then have them do it. And then guess what? Eventually they're going to clone somebody else. Right? So that's a very, very, very good idea on that front. But if you could do one thing as you leave here, I promise you this. Record your sessions. Put a camera or have somebody record them like you do a group session. Do wide view. Mic yourself up. DJI mics are cheap. And then coach. And then afterwards, watch yourself. Hands in the pockets. A lot. You sitting down, you're on your phone. Are you, say, right, this, that, the other? And just assess yourself. And I would even say it would be even better as somebody else assess you to see where you're at. Okay? There's almost nothing better than just showing exactly how you coach and what you actually do. Is to video yourself. And it's not like a one-time thing either. Right? This should be done consistently. That's one of the things that will help you become a better, because you'll be like, sometimes you'll cringe. That's what I used to do with presentations. I recorded myself at the gym when I was speaking. I watched the video and I was like, oh my God. Right? And I take notes of what I need to improve on. That's how you get better. You need a mirror to see what you're doing. Right? And create checklists and education plans. Right? Because again, great book for this is called Systematizing. Instead of like diving too deep into it, but like there's a very fast way of how you can break down systems. Have somebody interview you in a podcast and then transcribe the whole thing. It's a very, very simple way to do it, by the way. So everything that you would want to do, step by step, do it in a podcast, transcribe it, create it into a system. Right? And these are like, for example, I'm just giving you examples. Proactive checklist. So how you would check in with the client. Like we have an email that goes out first 30 days, and then there's an after that every 30 days. There's a proactive message checklist and a reactive. Proactive is like, I'm reaching out to a client. They didn't reach out to me. Proactive, right? Weekly check-in with a semi-private. Reactive is they sent an email to me or a message to me. How do I respond? Because the thing is, if you want things to be done a certain way and a standard is high, create the standard. And I can tell you that when things were not good in my business, it was because I didn't have these things locked in. So I highly encourage you to do that, right? And you can see, like, for example, by the way, you can do this however you want. This is just an example. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, respond and reach out. And you just go down your ABCs of clients. Tuesdays and Thursdays, program design and admin work. So again, this is a system for your coaches. Hey, these days you do program design work. These days you reach out. And then video libraries. We're creating video libraries of, I have probably about 800 to 900 videos, maybe 1,000, but I want to get it to thousands so that every single thing is connected to like the exercise so that our coaches coach the same, right? So somebody doesn't call it a rear foot elevated split squat. The other person calls it Bulgarian split squat. The other person calls it fucking who knows what, right? So it's like dialed in. And notice the videos are like 1 minute to 2 minutes long max. But I dislike, even in online coaching, I dislike videos where there's no sound and no coaching. It's just like, well, the client doesn't know what the hell they're doing, so you got to coach it, but be concise. Because if somebody pulls up a 9-minute video, it's like, dude, I don't have 9 minutes, right? But now this becomes the framework for everything. Okay. Now this is what's cool about it. So this is the regression part of it too. This is an example of just squats. And we don't have, like, for instance, now we have a pendulum squat and a hack squat. But again, what is the regression model at your gym for this exercise? Everybody should know, right? If I ask your coaches, like, what do you do if they can't do this? What do you do if they can't do this? What if their goal is strength? What if their goal is muscle building? What if their goal is feeling better, right? They should know this stuff. And this is, to me, where it gets cool. When you create good systems, you can just create content and products. Like, what if your system was just content and then you could turn it into products? When I created the small group mastery course, all I did was, like, so many people were asking me about it. I just made a course out of it. And I was like, this is going to be the course that explains everything and how I do small group personal training. And now it's sold like 1,300, 1,400 units. And there's that many people across the world that use it. But guess what? Now when a coach comes to Vigor, they have to go through that course to even be able to coach small group. Like, I'm working on a semi-private personal training certification. Funny thing about it is, I'm working on it so that every coach has to go through that cert to become a coach at Vigor. But I'm also going to sell it online, right? But that's the double whammy. Create something great, replicate it for your business, and then you can actually also, like, use it in the real world and sell it. Okay? We're almost there, baby. We're almost there. All right, so this is far from all the books, but these are, because, like, Conscious Coaching from Brett Bartholomew would be there too. But these are books that, like, I have my coaches not in a short period of time, but over the course of a year, I would love for everybody to go through this. These are coaching books. How to be better at communication. Part of that 51er that we talked about. And again, the books that I already included previously that I didn't talk about, that I talked about previously, they're not in here, right? But take a picture of these. These are very, very important because it comes down to communication, culture, how to communicate with people, stuff that's very, very important. And then from here, for forever, learn, apply, course correct, be better, right? And then repeat forever. Okay? I don't know how long that took. Hopefully it wasn't too crazy. Bonus tip before we go to questions, if we have any time. I promise you, this is like such a, kind of not a dumb thing, but, like, do this. Write 3 appreciation cards per day. It will change your business. It will change you, right? 3 per day. Sit down. It'll take you 10 minutes. Put them on a stack. Envelopes. I have somebody now that does this because I got back to doing this. Usually it's clients, but it's also, like, local small business owners, people I want to build a relationship with. Throughout the year, you'll send 1,000 plus out. Watch what starts happening. It's crazy. It's such a little small thing, but it will truly change your business, right? Because every time I tell somebody to do it, it's like, yeah, I started doing it and I stopped. Just do it for a whole year. 5 days a week. Don't even do 7, just 5 days a week. Okay? I don't know if we got time, but like, hey, maybe 5 minutes? Derek, 5? Right? Yeah? Cool. I would just let them know that like, hey, I'm going to film a session so that the coach can be better as a coach. Are you okay with that? We're never going to share that with anybody anywhere. 99.9% of the time, they'll say yes. Because to me, it's always like, hey, like we do this so they can see what they're doing and how they can improve so they can be a better coach for you. Yeah. Here and there, some people will say like, hey, I just don't want it to be online. And we'll be like, no, we won't post it online. Yeah. Because this, by the way, the second part, the other part that we're instilling now, we used to have it, but we're really drilling it now, is that every coach comes to another coach's session and then has a little form that they fill out, right? Basically giving feedback. What was great, what they could have done better, but here's the kicker. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend that session to a friend? Right? That's a toughie, because imagine that you're a coach and you go to another coach and just really trying to make it like understand that like they're not trying to shit on you, but it's like, hey, this is like constructive feedback for you to get better. I mean, by the way, would anybody here, I call it the window test, right? Like I learned that from Mike Boyle a long time ago, but if you knew that somebody that you highly respect is coming to your gym, would you coach different? Like, hey, they're going to be there all day watching me. Would you coach different? And see, the thing is, the truth is that most people would really be like, oh shit, I've got to be on my best behavior, right? And it's like, well, why don't you just do what you do? If you do what you do, it should be great. But if you're like, oh shit, I got to step it up. Oh, so you're saying that like you're not giving your best. You're a 6 out of 10, but if this person you highly respect comes in, now you're going to be a 10 out of 10? Now imagine turning that dial up and showing up as a 9 to 10 out of 10 every day and see what happens to your business. This is your product. Like, this is your product. People try so much different shit. Like, and again, I'm all for business systems, marketing, sales. I teach it a lot. But we always go, our business, our built to last business, we have a compass. It's 5 things. You know what the first one is? Coaching first. We're a coaching first business mentorship. Because if your product is not good, what are we going to do? Right? Coaching first. Number 2 is unreasonable service. Number 3 is operational excellence. Number 4 is educate the marketplace. Number 5 is personal leadership. But coaching is first because this is the product. Any other questions? Or are you guys posting? Yes. Like now quarterly. There's we have 3 basic questions. And it's, what do you love about it? Because we do it for semi-private coaching, right? Which means that like, what do you love about coaching with said coach? Number 2, what would you improve? And the third one is the same thing. How likely would you be to recommend it? Because here's the kicker. If they say 9 or 10, we instantly ask them for a referral or to go write a Google review. If they say 6 or 7, we don't do that. We got shit to work on, right? But first of all, like people won't, this is the other thing we realize too, that, people won't fill out surveys if they're long. So it's like, we will literally, when we send it out, say, this will take you like 3 minutes, right? Because if you say it'll take 3 minutes, most people are like, okay, I'll go fill it out. And we just had to hire, like in the past, we had this like really kind of long survey with all these questions and just basically so few people did it. And then we went away from it for a while, and now we do it and it's like 3 questions and we say it's 3 minutes. And we've done it for the last 2 quarters and it's like we've had a super high response rate. And if the person doesn't fill it out, like we resend them, I have a person doing this, it's not me, but we resend them an email and a text and it's like, hey, would really appreciate this. This really helps us help the coaches get better and improve your coaching. And it's been successful so far. So less is more in that scenario for sure. Yeah. You mean as far as what questions are? I mean, okay, so the two things that are very important here, by the way. What I didn't share is like when the person sits down with you and you sign them up, right? We ask a question and it's like, how would you like for us to keep you accountable? Because I mean, for a lot of you, like when there's a when there's a coaching system, it's like, what's the coaching system? Every Sunday, send out an email and check in, right? But have you ever had people that never respond to that? Fucking a ton of people, right? Or by the way, for example, like I've trained some like extremely high level executives that at the beginning, I'm like, why are they not filling this out? And then it took a while to where one person was like, Luka, do you know like what my days are like? Like, dude, I don't want to fill out a fucking form, right? And it's like, man, is it cool if I just ask you like one of our training sessions when I see you on Monday? Like, yeah, cool, great. But if I just had to ask them, like, how do you want me to keep you accountable? And some people are like, man, I'd really like a check-in a couple of times a week through text. Okay, write that down, do that, right? Let them tell you how to coach them, right? So again, that's step one. And then proactively is checking in on them. And especially if somebody hasn't been showing up consistently. Right? But for example, I do think it's important if you do nutrition, like our semi-private, we do nutrition coaching included with it, is that there's some type of like, hey, you know, how was your like food this week on a scale of 1 to 5? How was your sleep? Like again, basic things like 4 questions, 5 at most, some that they can just give you a number or a little bit of feedback. What went well this week? You know what I mean? What could you do better next week? Right? What could you improve on next week? Stuff like that, right? But I always say, make sure that you ask them what accountability looks like to them, because we just bucket everybody in the same thing. And sure, if it's a large group training and it's not as individualized, yeah, no problem. Automated, you know, automate whatever you need to automate. But as soon as it's one-on-one semi-private coaching, whether it's online or offline, like listen to what they want and then give them that. That's the win, right? But then that's what the proactive would be, reaching out to them the way that they ask, right? Cool. I mean, you guys hung in there. So listen, I'm only going to ask you like to do one thing, because all I care about when you go from events like this, you can be fired up, you can learn some new stuff. You have to tonight or before you leave, write down what you're going to do. There's a lot of stuff here. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to for sure start recording your sessions for the next month? Are you going, take 2 to 3 things that are doable, that aren't like, holy shit, like I have to revamp the whole system, and do them. Because if you leave here and you do those things, you'll get better at what you do. And that's all I give a shit about, right? Because I can come up here on stage and be like, hey, look, there's just all this cool stuff and whatnot. But all I really care about is like, you get better at what you do. And if you do that, it's going to leak into your business, into your life in a positive way, right? So that's the only promise that I want from you guys. Cool? Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.